The warning sounds blasted through the Cantu defense station. Officer Tad looked at his screen with wide eyes. What he saw made his heart beat faster. The energy reading was clear. A human ship was coming. His hand shook as he checked the reading again and again. "This can't be right," he whispered to himself. But the screen didn't lie. The red dot moved slowly toward their home planet. The station was quiet before this moment. Officers worked at their posts, checking screens and talking in low voices. The walls were gray metal, and the lights were bright blue. Through the big windows, they could see their orange planet below and the stars beyond. Ty was young for his job, only 3 years out of training. He had never seen a real human ship before, but every Cantu child knew the stories. Humans were the monsters of space. Their ships could destroy whole fleets. Their weapons cut through shields like they weren't even there. He took a deep breath and pressed the alert button. Admiral Kang confirmed human warship detected at Sector 7. His voice broke as he spoke. Admiral Kang had been drinking his morning tea and looking at reports. He was old with gray hair and a face lined by years of worry. He dropped his cup and it crashed to the floor. No one noticed the mess. "Show me," he ordered, rushing to Ta's station. The main screen lit up with the scan results. There was no mistake. The energy pattern matched human chips perfectly. The size meant it was a warship, maybe even a destroyer class. "How far?" Kang asked, his voice tight. 6 hours from our defense line," Admiral Ta said. The room erupted into noise. Officers ran between stations. Some shouted questions. Others gave orders that no one followed. A young woman dropped a stack of data tablets and they clattered across the floor. "Silence!" Kang shouted. The room went quiet at once. "This is not a drill. This is not a practice. This is real. We will follow procedures." He turned to Officer G, who sat at the communications desk. G was usually smiling, always ready with a joke. Today, his face was pale and serious. "Officer G, send emergency code readings to all stations. Begin planet-wide evacuation to the shelters." J nodded and turned to his controls. His fingers moved quickly over the screen. "Sending now, Admiral." Kang walked to the center of the room. "All senior officers, meeting room now. Junior officers, maintain your posts. Watch that ship. Report any change in speed or direction immediately." In the meeting room, 5 officers gathered around a table. The air felt thick and hard to breathe. "We have 6 hours," Kang said. "Maybe less if they increase speed." Commander Bach slammed his fist on the table. "We should strike first, launch everything we have." "And then what?" asked Commander Men, the oldest person in the room. "Our weapons might not even scratch their hull. Remember the Battle of Blue Star? 300 of our ships were gone in minutes. We have no choice but to evacuate as many people as possible." Kang said the deep shelters might protect them. Back on the main floor, Tai watched his scream carefully. The human ship moved steadily forward. Not too fast, not too slow. It was coming directly toward their planet, not hiding or trying to sneak in. It was like it didn't care if they saw it coming. On other screens around the room, they could see their cities. People were running through the streets. Warning sounds echoed between tall buildings. Parents carried children. Some people took only what they could grab quickly. Others had prepared bags ready by their doors. Everyone knew what to do when the human alarm sounded. The underground shelters were deep in the mountains. They were built years ago after the first human attacks. They could hold millions of people and had food and water for months. But would it be enough? Officer G's voice came over the station speakers. "All orbital stations have received the warning. Defense platforms are activating. Planet evacuation is at 20% complete." Todd checked the time. 1 hour had passed already. 5 more to go. Admiral Kang returned to the main floor. "Any changes?" "No, sir," Tay replied. "Same speed, same direction. They're just coming." Kang nodded and looked at the big screen showing their planet. Tiny lights moved across the surface as people fled to safety. "My family lives in the eastern city," G said quietly to Ta. "I called them, but the lines are busy now. Tai put his hand on Guy's shoulder. They know what to do. Everyone does. A young officer approached Kang with a tablet. Sir, the Defense Council is asking for your assessment. They want to know if we should launch deep space fighters. Kang shook his head. No, keep them here to protect the planet. If we send them out, they'll just die for nothing. 3 hours passed. The human ship was now clearly visible on their long-range cameras. It was black and silver with sharp angles and glowing blue lights. It was bigger than any Cantu ship ever built. Evacuation at 60%, Jai reported. But the northern cities are behind schedule. Roads are blocked with too many people. Kang closed his eyes for a moment. Tell them to use the emergency tunnels. Open all access points. Ta watched as smaller dots appeared around the human ship on his screen. Admiral, they're launching smaller craft. The room went silent again. Everyone knew what this meant. The smaller ships were faster, harder to hit. They would reach the planet before the main ship. How many? Kang asked, his voice barely a whisper. 5. No, 7, Tai counted. They're spreading out. Kang walked to the main window and looked down at their orange planet, his home. For generations, his family had served in the defense forces. He had hoped to die peacefully, knowing he had protected his people. Now he might watch them all die. May the ancestors protect us all, he said. Then he turned back to his officers. Prepare the last defense line. We fight until the end. On Ta's screen, the human ships came closer and closer. The countdown timer blinked. 3 hours until they reached the planet. 3 hours until everything changed. The emergency meeting room was large, but today it felt small. 12 people sat around the round table. The walls were dark metal with blinking lights. A big screen showed a map of space with a red dot moving toward their planet. Admiral Kang stood at the head of the table. His uniform was clean, but his eyes were tired. He had not slept since the human ship was spotted. The room was quiet as everyone waited for him to speak. 3 years ago, a single human warship destroyed our entire Fifth Fleet at Regal Prime. Admiral Kang said his voice was low, but everyone heard him clearly. 27 warships lost in less than 2 hours. He pressed a button on the table. A blue light appeared in the center, and then a picture formed in the air. It was a recording. The commanders leaned forward to see better. The recording showed space near a blue planet. Canto ships moved in a formation. They were gray and round with blue lights along their sides. Then a different ship appeared. It was black and sharp with red lights. A human ship. This is the battle as it happened. Kang said in the recording. The Canto ships fired first. Bright beams of energy shot toward the human ship. But something strange happened. The beams hit some kind of shield and disappeared. Then the human ship fired back, but it didn't use energy beams like the Cantu. It sent out small objects that moved very fast. When they hit the Cantu ships, there was a bright flash. When the flash cleared, the ships were broken or completely gone. One by one, the Canto ships in the recording were destroyed. Some tried to run away. The human ship caught them easily. Some tried to hide behind the planet. Human weapons went around the planet to find them. In less than 10 minutes of recording, all 27 Kato ships were gone. The human ship then simply moved away as if it had just finished a small task. Humans are unpredictable and dangerous. Admiral Kang continued when the recording ended. They adapt quickly. They take our technology and turn it against us. Commander Han nodded. He was a big man with a scar on, his face from an old battle. I heard they captured one of our ships once. 3 months later, they had copied our energy shields and made them better. Their weapons cut through our best shields like they aren't even there, said Commander Poe, a thin woman with short gray hair. And their ships are faster. We must use the Sunfire weapon, Commander Han said. It's our only chance. The Sunfire weapon was new and untested. It was designed to create a small star that would burn for a few seconds. Nothing could survive it, but it might also damage their own planet. The Sunfire might kill us all, said Commander Poe. We don't know if we can control it. As the commanders argued, a young officer stood up from her seat at the back of the room. Lieutenant Sue was not supposed to speak at these meetings. She was only there to take notes, but she couldn't stay quiet. "With respect, Admiral," she said, her voice clear and strong, "our intelligence on humans remains incomplete. Their intentions. Commander Han's face turned red. "Their intentions are clear. They've destroyed every fleet we sent against them." Lieutenant Sue didn't back down. "Every fleet asterisk we sent against the asterisk," she said quietly but firmly. "Have we ever tried to talk to them?" The room went silent. The commanders looked at each other. No one answered. "Is that true?" Admiral Kang asked finally. "Have we never attempted communication?" Commander Poe looked down at her hands. "Humans don't use the same communication systems we do. And after the first attack, it was decided that they were too dangerous to approach." "The first attack?" Sue said. "When did it happen? Who attacked first?" No one seemed to know. It had been many years ago before most of them were in command. Sue walked to the main screen and touched some controls. "I've been studying human Canto encounters. There have been 17 major ones. In every single case, we fired first." "That can't be right," Commander Han said. "Look at the records," Sue challenged. "The humans have never started a fight with us. They only fight back when we attack them." Admiral Kang looked troubled. "Why would they come here now to our home world?" "I don't know," Sue admitted. "But shouldn't we try to find out before we use a weapon that might destroy us too?" On the main screen, they could see that the human ship was still coming. It had not changed course. It had not sped up or slowed down. It had ignored all the warning signals they had sent. "What do you suggest, Lieutenant?" Admiral Kang asked. "Let me take a small ship to meet them," Sue said. "One ship, no weapons, just to talk." "That's suicide," Commander Han shouted. "They'll destroy you." "Maybe," Sue said. "Or maybe they'll listen. If I'm right, they only attack when attacked. Then a single unarmed ship should be safe." Admiral Kang looked at the young lieutenant. She was not like most officers. She had always asked difficult questions. She had studied human language and culture when others only studied how to fight them. "And if you're wrong," he asked. "Then I die," she said simply. "But if I'm right, I might save our planet." The commanders began to argue again. Some thought it was worth trying. Others thought it was a waste of time. The human ship would be within firing range in 3 hours. Admiral Kang raised his hand, and everyone went quiet. "I will allow it," he said. "Lieutenant Sue will take a shuttle to meet the human ship, but we will continue to prepare the Sunfire weapon. If she fails, we must be ready." Lieutenant Sue nodded. "Thank you, Admiral." As she left the room to prepare for her mission, she heard Commander Han say to Admiral Kang, "You're sending her to die for nothing." "Maybe," Admiral Kang replied. "Or maybe she'll save us all." Sue walked quickly through the hallways of the station. Officers and crew members moved out of her way. Everyone was busy preparing for what might be their last battle. No one thought that talking to humans would work. No one except her. She reached the shuttle bay and found a small ship being prepared. It was the smallest they had, just big enough for one person. It had no weapons, just as she had requested. As she checked the ship's systems, she thought about what she knew of humans. They were different from Cantu in many ways. They looked strange with soft skin and hair on their heads. They came from a planet with more water than land. They breathed the same air, but they could handle more heat. Most importantly, they talked. In all her studies, one thing was clear. Humans love to talk. Before they fought each other, they talked. When they made peace, they talked. The Cantu had never tried talking to them. "I hope you're right about this," said a voice behind her. It was Admiral Kang. "So do I," she replied honestly. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You could stay here safe in the command center." Sue thought about it for a moment. "Because someone has to try. Because I don't believe that any species crosses the stars just to destroy others. There must be a reason they're here. I want to know what it is. Admiral Kang nodded slowly. You have 2 hours. If you haven't made contact by then, come back. Well, use the Sunfire. Sue climbed into the small ship. As the door closed, she looked at Admiral Kang one last time. I'll come back with answers, she promised. The shuttle lifted off the deck and moved toward the open bay doors. Beyond them was space, and somewhere out there, the human ship was coming closer. In the deepest part of the defense station was a round room with no windows. This was the emergency council room. 12 chairs sat around a large table. On the walls were screens showing the planet and the space around it. The red dot of the human ship was much closer now. Defense Minister Sun stood at the head of the table. He was tall and thin, with a long white beard. His hand shook slightly as he pointed to an image on the main screen. The Sunfire weapon remains untested, he said. His voice was deep, but trembled a little. We built it to use against large fleets, not a single ship. If we use it now, it could destroy their ship, but also damage our own world. Admiral Kang rubbed his tired eyes. How much damage? At minimum, it would burn away half our atmosphere. At worst, the minister's son didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Everyone knew what the worst case was. Then we use it only as a last option, Kang decided. While the council met, Lieutenant Sue had not gone to meet the human ship yet. Admiral Kang had given her 1 hour to gather more information before her mission. She and 5 other officers sat in the research room, surrounded by screens and old books. Look at this, said Officer Min, the youngest of the team. He held up an old paper book. This is from before the first human war. It says, humans tried to send us messages for years, but we didn't understand their language. Sue took the book and read quickly. This matches what I found in the military records. Humans sent 10 unarmed ships before we first attacked them. She turned to her own screen, which showed a timeline of all human Canto encounters. Admiral, I found something interesting. She called across the room where Kang had just entered. The humans have never started a fight. They've only fought back when attacked. Admiral Kang looked at her work with a serious face. If that's true, why are they coming here now to our homeworld? I don't know, Sue admitted, but I think we should wait to find out before we use the Sunfire. Across the planet, millions of Canto people rushed to the mountain shelters. The streets of the cities were full of scared people carrying whatever they could. Some drove vehicles packed with food and clothes. Others walked, holding children's hands tightly. In the southern city, a mother named Lynn pulled her 2 small children through the crowded streets. Stay close, she told them. Don't let go of my hands. The sky was filled with small ships as those who could afford it tried to leave the planet. But there weren't enough ships for everyone. Most people had to go to the shelters on foot. Lynn looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there was a human ship coming closer every minute. She had heard the stories about humans. Everyone had. They were tall creatures with strange, soft skin and hair that grew from their heads. Their weapons could cut through anything. Their ships were faster than light. Why are they coming? Mom asked her son. I don't know, she said honestly. But the shelters will protect us. She didn't really believe that. The shelters were deep in the mountains, but if the humans wanted to destroy the planet, no shelter would be enough. Back at the defense station, Officer Jai sat at his communication console. He had been trying to make sense of some strange signals coming from the human ship. Admiral, he called suddenly, we've intercepted communications from the human vessel. He adjusted some controls. The translation is difficult, but it doesn't seem aggressive. They're repeating the same message over and over. What does it say? Kang asked, coming to stand beside him. I'm not sure. Our translation program doesn't work well with human language, but I think they're saying. Guy listened again through his headset. I think they're saying we come in peace, or maybe we need to speak with you. Could be a trick, said Commander Han, who had joined them. Humans are clever. Admiral Kang thought for a moment. Lieutenant Sue, are you ready for your mission? Sue stood up from her research. Yes, Admiral. I've prepared the shuttle and studied all I can about human communication. Then go now, Kang ordered. Try to make contact. Find out why they're here. Sue nodded and headed for the shuttle bay. As she walked, she went over the human phrases she had learned. She didn't know much, just basic greetings and questions. She hoped it would be enough. Just as she reached the shuttle bay, alarms sounded throughout the station. All personnel to alert stations came to a voice over the speakers. The human ship is changing course. Sue ran back to the command center. On the main screen, she could see that the red dot representing the human ship was moving faster now. Officer Tay's voice was high with fear. The human ship is accelerating. Where is it going? Kong demanded. Still toward us, but at twice the speed now, Tay reported. They'll be here in 30 minutes, not an hour. Suddenly the station shook, lights flickered, and people grabbed onto desks and walls to stay standing. What was that? Kang shouted. The automated defense grid has been activated, Officer Guy said, looking at his screen with horror. It detected the speed increase as an aggressive move and fired warning shots. Shut it down, Kang ordered. I can't, Guy said. Once it starts, it has to complete the sequence. 5 warning shots across their path. Everyone in the command center watched the main screen as 5 bright energy beams shot out from the planet's defense satellites. The beams passed in front of the human ship, not hitting it, but sending a clear message. Come no closer. For a moment, everything was still. The human ship slowed back to its original speed. The warning shots faded away into space. Maybe they understood the warning, Commander Han said hopefully. Then the screen lit up with new information. The human ship is changing again, Tay reported. It's moving to the side. I think it's trying to go around our defense grid. Prepare the Sunfire, Admiral Kang said quietly to Commander Han. If they attack after this, we have no choice. The main screen switched to a visual view from one of their satellites. For the first time, they could see the human ship clearly. It was much bigger than they had thought. Black metal with sharp edges and glowing lights along its sides. It was shaped like an arrow pointing directly at them. Everyone in the command center gasped. Even in recordings, they had never seen a human ship this large or this close. That's not just a warship, Commander Han whispered. That's a dreadnought, their biggest class of ship. Sue looked at the massive vessel with a mixture of fear and wonder. It was beautiful in a strange way. Powerful and sleek. The humans had built something amazing. I still want to try talking to them, she said to Admiral Kang. Even now. Kang looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Go take your shuttle, but be careful. If they show any sign of attacking, turn back immediately. Sue ran to the shuttle bed again. As she climbed into her small ship, she could see on its screen that the human ship had stopped moving again. It was just sitting there at the edge of their defense grid, waiting. Waiting for what? An attack or something else? She started the shuttle's engines. I'm going to find out, she said to herself, one way or another. The bay doors opened, showing the blackness of space. Somewhere out there, the humans were waiting, and she was going to meet them. Lieutenant Sue's small shuttle moved slowly toward the human ship. Her hands shook as she guided the controls. From far away, the human ship had looked big. Up close, it was enormous. Her shuttle was like a tiny bug next to a mountain. The human ship was black and silver. It had sharp points and smooth sides. Blue lights glowed along its edges. Sue could see strange writing on its side. She guessed it was the ship's name in human language. Inside her shuttle, Sue took deep breaths to stay calm. No Cantu had ever been this close to a human ship and lived to tell about it. At least that's what everyone believed. I could die today, she said to herself. But if I don't try, we all might die. Her shuttle had no weapons. It was small and simple with just enough room for her to sit. She had brought no soldiers, no guards, just herself and her hope that humans could be reasoned with. A light blinked on her control panel. The humans were trying to talk to her. Sue pressed a button to answer. She had practiced human language, but she wasn't sure if she could speak it well enough. To her surprise, the voice that came through her speakers spoke perfect Kanu. "This is Captain of Earth Alliance vessel Prometheus," said in a clear voice. "We acknowledge your approach." Sue blinked in surprise. The human spoke her language without any trouble. "How is that possible?" "Captain, I am Lieutenant Sue of the Cantu Defense Force," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I come seeking peaceful dialogue." There was a pause. Sue waited, her heart beating fast. What if she was wrong about humans? What if they destroyed her shuttle right now? "Lieutenant," the human captain finally responded. "We've been trying to establish contact for weeks. We're on a humanitarian mission carrying medical supplies for the Oran colonies. We requested passage through your territory due to the radiation storm in the Denim sector." Sue felt like her head was spinning. This wasn't what she expected. Not at all. "Medical supplies?" she asked, "not weapons." "No weapons," Captain confirmed. "Just medicine and doctors. The Orion colonies are suffering from a virus outbreak. They need our help." "But your ship," Sue said. "It's a warship. A dreadnought." There was a sound from the speaker that Sue didn't recognize at first. Then she realized the human captain was laughing. "The Prometheus isn't a dreadnought," Captain Yan said. "It's a medical frig. One of our largest, yes, but it's designed to carry supplies and medical teams." Sue looked out her window at the massive ship. It didn't look like a medical ship to her. It looked dangerous, powerful. "Your weapon systems?" she asked cautiously. "Defensive only," Captain explained. "Standard protocol for medical transports in contested space. We need to protect our medical teams and supplies, but we don't attack." Sue's mind was racing. Could this be true? "All these years I have been wrong about humans." "Why didn't you answer our warning signals?" she asked. "We did answer," Captain said. "Many times we sent messages explaining our mission and requesting safe passage. We've been trying to talk to you for weeks." Sue remembered what Officer Jai had said about intercepted communications that didn't translate well. The humans had been trying to talk all along. "I would like to see your ship," Sue said, "to confirm what you're saying." "Of course," the captain replied. "We can arrange for you to dock with us. I'll show you our medical facilities myself." As they were speaking, Sue noticed something on her scanner. There was a strange energy reading coming from the human ship. Something wasn't right. At the same moment, a red light began flashing on her control panel. Warning lights also began flashing on the human ship. Sue could see them through her window. Captain Sue said urgently, "Our scanners detect a critical malfunction in your propulsion system." There was a pause, and Sue heard voices speaking quickly in the background. They were speaking human language, and she couldn't understand them. They sounded worried. "Confirmed," the captain finally replied. Her voice was tense now. "The radiation damage is worse than we thought. We need emergency docking facilities, or your core will breach near our home world." Sue finished. Horror filled her as she realized what this meant. The human ship's power core was damaged. If it failed completely, it would explode. The explosion would be massive, possibly damaging her planet even from this distance. "How did this happen?" Sue asked. "The radiation storm in the Denim sector," Captain explained. "We had to pass through the edge of it to save time. The Orion colonies need these medical supplies urgently. We thought our shields could handle it, but the radiation was stronger than our readings showed." Sue thought quickly. The human ship couldn't move away now. Any use of its engines might cause the core to explode immediately, but if they did nothing, it would eventually explode anyway. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Our engineers estimate 3 hours before critical failure," Captain Ian said. "Maybe 4 if we shut down all non-essential systems. Can you fix it?" "Not without help," the human captain admitted. "We need specialized equipment that we don't have on board." Sue made a decision. It was risky, but there was no other choice. "Captain, I'm going to contact my people. We have repair facilities that might be able to help you." "Thank you, Lieutenant," Captain Yun said. The relief in her voice was clear. We appreciate any assistance you can provide. Sue turned her shuttle around and headed back toward her planet. As she flew, she contacted the defense station. Admiral Kang, this is Lieutenant Sue. The situation is not what we thought. The human ship is a medical transport, not a warship. They're carrying supplies to help sick people in the Orion colonies. Are you certain of this? Admiral Kang asked, his voice doubtful. I spoke with their captain myself, Sue replied. But there's a more urgent problem. Their power core is damaged from radiation. It will explode in 3 to 4 hours if we don't help them fix it. There was silence for a moment. Then Admiral Kang spoke again. Return to the station immediately. We need to discuss this. When Sue arrived back at the station, she went straight to the command center. Admiral Kang and the other officers were waiting for her. Tell us everything, Kang ordered. Sue explained what she had learned. The human ship was on a peaceful mission. They had been trying to communicate all along. Their power core was damaged, and they needed help. It could be a trick, Commander Han said. They could be lying about the medical supplies. To what end? Sue asked. If they wanted to attack us, they could have done it already. Why make up a story about a damaged core? Maybe they really are damaged, Commander Poe suggested. But that's even more dangerous. If their core explodes near our planet, we have to help them, Sue said firmly. If we don't, their ship will explode, and many people will die, both humans and Cantu. Admiral Kang was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. Contact the human captain, he ordered. Tell her we will help, but we must be careful. This will be the first real cooperation between our peoples. Sue smiled for the first time in days. Yes, Admiral, I'll tell her right away. As she turned to go, Kang added, And Lieutenant, good work today. Your courage may have saved us all. Sue nodded and hurried to contact Captain Yan with the good news. They had a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. But for the first time, humans and Cantu would be working together instead of against each other. 3 days had passed since the human ship arrived. 3 days of hard work and new beginnings. The Cantu space station had never been so busy. Humans and Cantu worked side by side. They fixed the damaged ship and learned about each other. Admiral Kang stood on the observation deck of the station. Through the large window, he could see the human ship. It was still huge and black, but it didn't look scary anymore. Now it just looked like a ship that needed help. Beside Kang stood Captain Yoon of the human ship. She was tall for a KU but normal size for a human. Her skin was light brown and she had short black hair. Her uniform was blue and white with a red symbol on the chest. She didn't look like a monster from space. She looked like a person. It's amazing, Captain said as they watched the workers below. 3 days ago we thought you might destroy us. Now your people are helping fix our ship. We thought the same about you, Admiral Kang admitted. We were ready to use our most dangerous weapon. Below them, human and Kanto engineers moved around the damaged part of the Prometheus. They carried tools and spoke to each other through translation devices. Sometimes they used hand signals when words didn't work. Your Lieutenant Sue saved millions of lives, Captain Yan said. Both yours and ours. Kang nodded slowly. Yes, if she hadn't gone to talk to you, we would have used the Sunfire weapon. It might have destroyed your ship, but it would have hurt our planet too. And if your teams hadn't helped us fix our core, it would have exploded near your world. The captain said, No one would have won. Kang turned to look at the human captain. There was something he needed to ask. I must know. Why did you not destroy us when we fired those warning shots at your ship? You could have. Captain Yan smiled. Her smile looked almost the same as a Cantu smile, just with smaller teeth. That's not who we are, she replied simply. Humans seek to understand before we act. Your warning shots were concerning, but not a declaration of war. We knew something was wrong. Either you were afraid of us, or there was a misunderstanding. All these years, we feared you based on misunderstandings, Kang said. He shook his head sadly. The Battle of Riel Prime, unnoted. I read about it in our history books. You know of it. Kang was surprised. "We lost 27 ships that day, and we lost 12, Captain said, but they weren't warships. When your fleet surrounded our ships, you saw military vessels. We were actually evacuating civilians from a moon that was breaking apart. Our ships had shields and some weapons, but they were full of families, not soldiers." Kang felt cold all over. All these years they had been wrong. The mighty human warriors who destroyed their fleet were just protecting their families. "We didn't know," he said quietly. "We thought you were invading. And when we fought back, you thought we were monsters," Captain Yun finished. And so the fear grew on both sides. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the workers below. A human engineer was showing Cantu how to use a human tool. The Cantu showed humans how to read Canto measurement devices. "We have much to learn from each other," Kang said finally. The door to the observation deck opened, and Lieutenant Su walked in. She carried a stack of papers. Her uniform was clean, and she stood tall. She looked different now, more confident. Meeting the humans had changed her. "Admiral Kang, Captain Yun," she said with a small bow to each. "The Council has approved the treaty." She handed the papers to Kang. The top page had official seals from both the Kuhai Council and the Human-Earth Alliance. "A treaty of friendship and cooperation," Kang read aloud. "The first ever between our peoples. The Council also made a decision about future communication with humans." Su continued. She stood a little straighter. "I've been appointed as diplomatic liaison to the Earth Alliance." "Congratulations, Lieutenant," Captain said warmly. "Or should I say, ambassadors soon." Su smiled. "Not yet. I have much to learn first. I'll be traveling on the Prometheus to the Earth Alliance headquarters after you deliver the medical supplies to the Auran colonies." "We would be honored to have you," Captain Yun said. That evening there was a small celebration on the space station. Humans and Cantu shared food and drinks. The humans tried Cantu sweet bread and made funny faces at the taste. The Cantu tried human coffee and couldn't understand why humans liked it so much. Officer Tai, who had first spotted the human ship, talked with a human engineer about their different scanning technologies. "Your scanners are amazing," the human said. "They can see things that we can't." "But yours work better in radiation storms," Tai replied. "If you had our scanners, you might have avoided the damage to your ship." "Maybe we can design new scanners together," the human suggested. Across the room, Officer G was learning human language from a human communications officer. "Hello, my name is G," he said carefully in human language. "Very good," the human said. "Now try this one. Pleased to meet you." Admiral Kang watched all this with wonder. Just 4 days ago, they had been preparing for the end of their world. Now they are making friends. 2 weeks later, the repairs on the Prometheus were complete. The human ship was ready to continue its journey to the Auran colonies with the medical supplies, but it would not go alone. "2 of our fastest ships will escort you," Admiral Kang told Captain Yan at the departure ceremony. "They will help you reach the Aura colonies safely and quickly." "Thank you, Admiral." Captain Yan said, "This marks a new chapter for both our peoples." On the bridge of the lead escort ship, Lieutenant Su stood by the window. She wore a new uniform now, with both Cantu and human symbols. She would be the first of her kind, a bridge between 2 peoples who had feared each other for too long. The Prometheus moved away from the space station, its engines glowing blue. The 2 Cantu ships moved with it, one on each side. Together they turned toward the stars and accelerated. Su watched as her home world grew smaller behind them. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She was going to see the human worlds to learn their ways to help build peace. The lieutenant called the ship's captain. "The Prometheus is requesting to speak with you." Su moved to the communication station. Captain Yan's face appeared on the screen. "Ambassador Su," she said with a smile. "Are you ready for your new adventure?" "I am," Su replied, "though I'm still just a lieutenant." "Not to us," Captain said. "To us, You're the person who chose to understand instead of fear. That makes you an ambassador in the truest sense. As the ships moved faster and the stars began to streak by, Sue thought about how quickly everything had changed. 4 days ago, the entire Kanto world had panicked at the sight of a human ship. Now, they were allies. She had always believed that understanding was stronger than fear. Now she knew it was true.